Hello and welcome. My name is Neufeld and this is Literally Graphic. And today we are touching on the educational nonfiction comic A.D. New Orleans After the Deluge by Josh Neufeld. With the hurricane itself happening in 2005 and A.D. apparently starting its life as a webcomic in 2007, published by Smith Magazine. It was eventually published in its current form in 2009 by Pantheon Graphic Novels, and after that ended up on the New York Times bestseller list and won both an Eisner and a Harvey Award. Josh Neufeld is a cartoonist who works mostly in nonfiction as a comics journalist. He's apparently also done quite a bit of work on Harvey P. Carr's American Splendor. A bit of a traveler, apparently. Neufeld has lived on both the east and west coasts of North America, as well as London and Prague. Neufeld has never lived in New Orleans or in the American South, as far as I can tell. Neufeld did apparently come up with the premise for this collection during a stint as a Red Cross volunteer in Mississippi at the time of the storm. Turning the book over, the publisher describes A.D. as follows: a stunning graphic novel that makes plain the undeniable horrors and humanity triggered by Hurricane Katrina. Turning the book over, the publisher describes A.D. as follows: a stunning graphic novel that makes plain the undeniable horrors and humanity triggered by Hurricane Katrina in the true stories of 6 New Orleanians who survived the storm. A.D. follows each of the 6 from the hours before Katrina struck to its horrific aftermath. Here is Denise, a 6th-generation New Orleanian who will experience the chaos of the Superdome. The doctor, whose unscathed French Quarter home becomes a refuge for those not so lucky. Abbas and his friend Mansell, who face the storm from the roof of Abbas' family-run market. Kwame, a pastor's son whose young life will remain wildly unsettled well into the future. And Leo, a comic book fan, and his girlfriend Michelle, who will lose everything but each other. We watch as they make the wrenching decisions between staying and evacuating, and we see them coping not only with the outcome of their own decisions, but also with those made by politicians, police, and others like them. Decisions that drastically affect their lives, but over which they have no control. Overwhelming demand has propelled A.D. from its widely read early internet installments to this complete hardcover edition. Scheduled for publication on the 4th anniversary of the hurricane, it shines an uncanny light on the devastating truth and human triumphs of New Orleans after the deluge. Moving on to the art, while I certainly have no complaints in the skill of rendering, etc., the way color was used often felt a bit overdone. Based off of the cover, you might think that the colors were based off of people, but they are actually based off of days, which does become clear fairly quickly, leading up to and passing the hurricane. That said, they mostly just felt very odd. At this point, I'm used to different line colors, and I actually quite like them, but something about the way in which it was used as a wash for both lines and backgrounds was just off to me. Although finding out it was a webcomic first, I wonder if that might have popped a bit more off the screen, rather than feeling like it was plopped into the middle of a page and didn't even have a full bleed. And how was sexuality, gender, race, and class treated in this collection? Besides sexuality, pretty well. The selection of people Neufeld writes about is very diverse and covers most intersections I am currently looking for. That said, my only other criticism is that I would have liked maybe a little more telling rather than exclusively showing through personal narrative. A bit of a character for me, but I think it might have aged a bit better, aka stayed more relevant, with a bit more things to blatantly say that apply to events beyond Katrina. The section that covers the way poor people could not escape the city and ended up basically being held hostage in a hellscape by police was important and will probably still be fresh news to some readers, but otherwise, with just the book in hand, the reader can connect or not connect any dots they feel like and or feel like things still apply or not. That said, there's apparently a teacher's guide that can be used, and if it's still in use, I assume it does cover some of these issues. Bye all, keep reading and resist white supremacy.
And as always, I would like to acknowledge that for the most part, all of my videos are filmed and produced on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit, an Anishinaabe people, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Huron-Wendat Nation, land covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant.